Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of FPL Newbies. As you can see, the title suggests we are not the veterans in the FPL world. We are just a duo of newbies making FPL content and learning more and more about this world. So, today we will be going over our very first FPL drafts. Now, as you guys all know, that the base for a good season is to have a great first team that will give you the lead in match day one over the other players and your opponents in a mini league. And a good team in match day one can set you up for the rest of the season, whereas a bad performance can lead you to catch up on your rivals all throughout the season, and it won't be a good start. So good start is always very important, and that's why we put so much research and effort into what our ideal match day one team will be. So today we will be going over exactly that. We both of us have prepared our draft match day one game week teams, and I note that this will not be our final team. Of course, there are still new players to come. The transfer window is still open, and as we know, new players are already being signed and they have still not yet been made official, and some are not even live. They're still game, their prices have not yet been announced. So that is one factor that we have to take, because the new players, and most of them will definitely be in our match day one team. So we will be going over first with Ronak's team, and yeah, Ronak, let's go through your team. Let's start with the goalkeeper.
Hello guys, I'm Ronak, and like the previous season was my first full season in FPL, and I finished around 650 and 680k, which is probably not probably this is my best finish in an FPL season. Although not it's not a huge achievement, but it's personally for me has been a great feat. So to start off the new season, I for me personally I will stick with the proven players, if fantasy Premier League proven players who had proved over the years that they are good fantasy assets, good captain assets, and they will give you points on a consistent basis even if they are in poor form. So to start with, last season we had Emiliano Martinez, we all know, who has been like owned by almost 50% of the fantasy players, fantasy managers. So this season, as expected, his price had been shot sky high, around I guess 5.5 or no.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So his price has been 5.5. So he's like an expensive asset in terms of goalkeepers. So we all look for cheap assets in goalkeepers. So Amy's price was I guess 4.5 last season. So
Yes, the starting price was for
yes, the starting price. So this season also we will be looking forward to the cheap goalkeeping assets, and I think no one is a better asset than Robert Sanchez at this moment. Last season, Matt Ryan went on loan to Arsenal, and as we know, Robert Sanchez started almost every match in the second half of the season. Okay, and he has been proven very uh, what to say, like a very good asset for a fantasy. In terms of fantasy, he has kept quite a number of clean sheets, made a handful number of saves, and has kept Brighton in the Premier League and helped them avoid relegation last year. So my first choice goalkeeper for this season for the first draft will be Robert Sanchez. Of course, we can choose an expensive asset according to your choices, because Emiliano Martinez is still one of the handiest assets in FPL. But I will go with 4.5 goalkeeper. It will be Robert Sanchez. And on of
Do
your
you think
team,
Robert Sanchez?
hmm,
Yeah. Do you think Robert Sanchez can replicate what Emiliano Martinez did last season? Like, one of the main reason why, of course, Martinez was such a favorite pick in FPL was because of the save points he was getting. I mean, yes, like the clean sheets are of course important, but Aston Villa were being targeted with a lot of shots, and it and of course like Emiliano Martinez was a great one between the sticks, and he was getting saves after saves, and those save points were getting racked up. Now it is easy to overlook those points, but even those 1 or 2 points are so important, like when we are trying to catch up on our ranks. And although Sanchez did not accumulate a lot of save points in the later half of the season. Yes, he was racking up those clean sheet points. So, do you think he will be able to replicate or reach that bar that Emiliano Martinez has set for us in the previous season?
Now that's a big expectation, big boots to fill. Like Emmy not only gave save points, he I think saved two penalties over the season, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yes,
that's a huge boots to fill. Um, the thing is, like, you cannot expect everyone to do the same feat, and it all depends upon how the season rolls over. So, but Dean Smith has put up set his team very well last season, we all know, and Graham Potter is not very far away from. He's already been under the spotlight, like how he sets up his team, how attacking his team is, and how well organized his defense is at the back. We all have seen that they have given a very tough time to the top five last year, as we all know that, right? The top five teams have found it very hard to go past the Brighton defense, and they have been very well also in going forward. So, will he replicate exactly what Emi Martinez did? For me personally, saying I don't think so, because that's a big ask. But it's not like he cannot do it. He has the potential to do that. Okay, and it depends upon the signings that Graham Potter makes. Like if he wants to strengthen his defense or his midfield, because we all know that. Brighton had a lot of injury issues last season regarding his midfield, and some of his center backs had to play as a midfielder at times. So, uh, will he replicate exactly? It's a very tough ask, but I will still gamble on Sanchez for the clean sheet points, because you want to invest your uh, money on the defense and midfield and the forwards. And buying a goalkeeper above the price 5.0 is kind of ham takes away your uh, takes away
budget.
your budget. Yeah, eats away your budget, and second of all, it gives you less options. Like if you want to get a premium for defense, then it gets difficult. Or you want to select two premiums for your midfield, that then becomes a very stiffening choice. So getting a 4.5 goalkeeper who is a definite starter, who is under a very good system, defensive system, and is one of the most promising managers in Premier League right now, I think it's a good shot.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah,
mm,
very, very solid point. And I
mm,
think even if Sanchez fails to replicate what Martinez
mm,
did in the previous season, I think he will be the highest owned goalkeeper coming game week one. And also here's a good stat that Brighton have a good opening fixture. Their first six fixtures are against Burnley, Watford, Everton,
mm.
Brentford, Leicester City, and Crystal Palace. So
Yes.
none of the big six teams, and like other than Everton and Leicester, maybe to some, yeah, Leicester and Everton. I think the four other fixtures are quite good for them, and we expect them to have those clean sheets. And I think like there are of course many alternatives to Robert Sanchez, but in the 4.5 bracket, the one name that I have been seeing a lot on Twitter, and of course he had a decent Euro campaign, is Backman from Watford. Now Watford also have Ben Foster as their goalkeeper. Now there are some talks about rotation and all the stuff, but we will see. We will see. Okay, let's jump onto the defenders now.
Okay, I'm for the first four defenders as my starting defenders. I'm completely going according to last year's performance and their experience in the Premier League. First of all, John Stones for me is a no-brainer pick. He's still a very cheap asset in defensive perspective, and he has scored like a few very fair share of goals also last season. Like he scored a brace, I remember, quite frankly,
Yes,
and
yes.
nobody expected him to step up like that. And even after stepping up, it's very surprising that FPL didn't shoot his price to like 5.5. What is his price? I think 5.5, I think.
I think it's 5.5. Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
it's 5.5.
Like, I'm very surprised his price didn't go to 6.0, because we all know how FPL becomes so keen on increasing the price of assets who has a brilliant season. So, like, in comparison to how his season has been, 5.5 is still a very good option and a very reliable option to pick, because I don't think Laporte is staying in City, and I think Nathan Ark is a secondary choice defender, like a rotation choice for Pep. And I think Stones and Diaz will be his first choice center backs. And compared to Diaz, Stones has a, I think personally for me, Stones is a bigger goal threat. Although Ruben Diaz also scored a header last season, his debut goal, Stones is a bigger goal threat. And even though he's prone to rotation, his price is a very attractive, what to say, like he's a very attractive asset for the season.
Yeah, I mean, of course, the way Man City were keeping clean sheets match after match,
Yes,
like like the FOMO of not having a Man City defender in our matchday one squad is just too much. And of course, like with the fullbacks, there is this huge risk of rotation because we know that Pep likes to rotate so much.
yes.
And the only one probably nailed is Ruben Dias, but of course, he's 6 million. And yes, Stones is in rotation risk for a bit, but I think, and like we all think, that Pep will probably go with Laporte and Stones, considering Stones had a decent, not decent, like very good PL campaign last year, and even in the Euros, he's doing quite well.
You
So
mean
yes, sound to
Diaz and
strong.
Stones, right? Diaz and Stones. Hmm.
Yes, Diaz
Hmm.
and Stones.
Yeah.
And I think Stones will at least start for a couple of games, and of course he will be rested. But uh, we will have the necessary cover for that present, of course, in the substitutes bench. Okay, moving
Yes.
on to the next defender.
Yes. See, like
Okay, okay, say,
huh. One fact is that they are now, it's an on Euros are ongoing. Okay, so they will get some extended rest, and maybe I don't know when their preseason will start exactly. And I think Stones and Diaz both will get extended rest. But the fact that Stones is playing the Euro final and Diaz is actually got knocked out in the round of 16 with Portugal, I think. So there's a bit of risk that Stones may not start the first game week. I mean, we have seen that in previous years when there has been World Cup and Euros, that players getting extended vacations. But I don't. The time that the season is starting, I don't think that will be a very big of a risk. So I will say keep your bench stacked for that. I mean, stacked in the sense, keep your scout through those newly promoted defenders, and keep a track on those budget defenders who may start, so that even if Stones get benched, you can put on one of those as a sub. Okay, that will be my perspective. And Diaz perhaps will be starting from the first match day, since he has been knocked out quite a while ago, and he will get all this time for his vacation. And think he will be back for the preseason earlier than Stones. This is one point I will say people, FPL managers should look upon, especially when selecting England players.
yes, true, true. Okay, so
So
what about the next one?
moving on, this is a very controversial pick. I picked up Virgil van Dijk. So as we know, Virgil van Dijk missed almost the entire 2020-21 season due to that ACL rupture, and he also opted to not play in the Euros to get 100% fit for Liverpool. And I think it's a no-brainer that he will be starting from the first match day for Liverpool, as we also how Liverpool crumbled down in his absence. They're almost their captain in the back four. He leads the defensive line. He scores headers, and I think for those who think that they want to invest in their midfield and forwards like me, I opt to invest in my midfield. I have neither picked up Trent nor Robertson. I know that's a very high risk, provided that even if their price is 7.5 or 7.0, Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold will be the most picked, even if not both, one of them will be, either of them will be most picked in like in every alternative FPL managers team. So yeah, so that's a gamble to pick up Van Dyke. But for now, I will stick with him, because for the sole purpose, I am opting to invest on my midfield. And if I pick up Trent or Robertson, that takes away my opportunity to at least pick up two what to say, premium assets in my midfield. So I have picked up Van Dijk. Ah, and Trent is also a good shout actually because he got injured before the Euro tournament and he is also not playing the Euros. And still, that's a gamble, but I will play.
No, yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, like, I can definitely see the reason this is coming from because similar to Man City, yes, Liverpool did not start great the last season. They were not taking up as many clean sheets as we would have liked. But then again, every team was like that. And with a full preseason, and they have also signed a new defender, he will be there to partner Van Dijk this season. And of course, like going without Robertson and
Trent.
Alexander Arnold is
Yeah.
a big risk.
Hmm.
But as you said, saving even those zero point 0.5 or zero point 0.1 million on your defense can help you to invest that in other sides of the field. So Van Dijk is definitely a good shout, something that will go under the radar for many people. I mean, it can also act as a good differential. And since I don't think any of us would like to go into match day one without a Liverpool defense, and something that many people should consider.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so moving on to the next one, Luke Shaw.
Luke Shaw is a no-brainer for me. He's having a fun. He had a fantastic 2021 season, and he's also having one of his best times in the English national team. He's almost the most valuable player in the England squad for the Euros. He provided two assists against, I think Ukraine. Yeah, two sublime crosses. Yeah, and yeah, that's a no-brainer, and this needs no explanation. Also, Ah, yeah, that thing comes that he may get an extended vacation due to the Euros, but I don't think Ole will be starting Telles in Premier League. And Luke Shaw is undoubtedly their first choice left back. And even though even though they have they're playing the finals of the Euros, I think he will recover for the first game week and he will be starting definitely because the signings that United are going after, they have already signed Sancho. They are going after Rafael Varane from Real Madrid, and they are also looking for a central defensive midfielder. And Kamavinga is in their target list. United are making a very formidable squad, and they will be now looking for serious business and will be opting to challenge for the Premier League title. And I think they won't risk benching Luke Shaw from the first game week because they need a strong start. Leeds are not a weak team. They have shown what they're capable of in last year. And yeah, so United will definitely be playing their, for me, in my opinion, obviously, they will be playing their full strength and Luke Shaw will be starting. So I am picking up, he's in my team from the first to last.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, like, I think it was the middle of the last FPL season when Shaw had a recent rise in stats. Like, he was driving forward, he was getting all those crosses in the box. And that's when people started noticing him and considering him for the FPL team. And that's when his ownership also started to rise. And exactly, I think a few match days after that, he scored against Manchester City, which was insane. And he also provided assists and all the stuff. So, of course, the thing that he is getting forward there, and as you said, the performance in the Euros has definitely made him a sure shot in everyone's FPL team. And like we talk about Robertson so much, obviously because of his offensive prowess. He runs up and down the field, he delivers all those crosses, and his attacking output, attacking threat is great. And I think Luke Shaw can replicate exactly that. The thing
Yeah,
that many people look at Lucas, yeah, Rona,
yeah.
wanted to say something?
No, 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 no. You continue. You continue. Hmm.
Okay, okay.
Hmm.
So the thing that many people looked at Lucas Dean last season, and of course he had a difficult season with injuries, and Shaw has increased his fitness. I think so. Like I don't think we need to be worried about too much injuries. And yeah, with Cavani at that front, I think Luke Shaw is bound to get assists. One thing that was concerning last season, and a fact that you mentioned, like we took Shaw only for the assets. Like clean sheets, we were not too sure about
Hmm.
because United were conceding silly goals and everything. But as you said, with if they complete the signing of Varane and with one full preseason, I think Ole has the time to sort out his defense. And in addition to assists, we can look at those clean sheet points too. Yeah.
Definitely.
So moving on to Sofal.
And second of all, Shaw's price is still a cut price, I think. I mean, the
Yes,
season he
exactly,
had,
exactly.
in comparison to that, his price is still a cut price. And second of all, he's on in charge in set pieces. Bruno is
Yes, yes.
surprisingly not on those corners anymore, and it's a bit surprising. And but Shaw has been providing some brilliant corners and indirect free kicks. So yeah, definitely he's a very good shout for grabbing assists, even not the clean sheet points. Yeah.
Okay, so the next
Yeah.
one.
So next is Vladimir Sufal, and he was signed last year. Moyes signed him, and he had a surprisingly very good season with fair share of assists. And the way he attacks, he almost plays as a left wing back, or a left midfielder. I have seen him
Right,
play.
right,
Yeah,
right, right.
right. Oh, sorry. Right. Yeah, right. So he goes so much up, and he also has a very huge goal. He's also a goal threat with his height and physicality from set pieces. He's also a goal threat. He goes up and he provides some brilliant diagonals and some good crosses. He grabbed a few assists so far last season, and his price is still a cut price. And I think without a shadow of doubt, he might be one of those assets that who will be highly owned in this season's Premier League fantasy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we know what
Hmm.
Cresswell did last season. He was the
Yeah.
highest scoring defender in FPL, and of course, as a result, like Cresswell's price is 5.5, most probably, I think. And Stufal is at that price in which Cresswell started last season. And Cresswell started the season well. His form, I won't say dipped, but he was not accumulating as much points that Sufal was doing in the end of the season.
Yeah.
So, and Sufal, I would say, had a decent campaign in the Euros. And if he can
Yeah.
continue
Yeah.
that form at 5 million, he's a he's a really great pick, a cheap option. I mean, obviously, many people are looking at that 5.5 million defenders bracket, including me. But just for an extra 5 million, like Sufal is someone like who can provide you those assists and keep those clean sheets too. Okay,
Definitely. Definitely.
so
Yeah.
let's move on to the midfield now.
And I think Cresswell got injured last season in the fag end of the season. He had been suffering
Yes,
for
yes,
injuries.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a problem. Next is, of course, my first game week captain will be undoubtedly Mo Salah, and I think there's no debate and there's no explanation for this. He has been the most popular pick ever since he signed for Liverpool in the 17-18 season. I think he signed in the 17-18 season, right? Yeah. And he has been ever consistent in terms of goal scoring, in terms of accumulating FPL points, yeah, scoring hat tricks, and I don't know what else to say. He even last season Liverpool had a very underwhelming season according to their standards, but still Salah has been in the race of the Golden Boot, and he grabbed a few amount of goals, has been consistent coming from the bench and scoring goals, and that makes him at his price is totally justified at 12.5. And yeah, he will be undoubtedly the the undisputed pick for almost everything for me.
Yeah, I mean, like Salah has been a great FPL player, like from a fantasy perspective,
Yeah.
like for so many seasons since his first season, and I think it's a no-brainer. Like he was the first name on the team sheet last year too, and he is doing the same thing, exactly same thing this year. And although like Liverpool's form kind of dipped last season, they were they were not winning matches, and Salah also kind of stopped scoring points in between. But among all the Liverpool attackers, he was the number one in terms of getting those points. And like if we compare Salah, like of course we will want a Liverpool attacker in our FPL team, and if we compare him to a likes of Mane and to the likes of Firmino, like Salah is a no-brainer among the three. And the thing is, there could have been debate if Mane's price was a little bit low, but Mane at 12 million, Salah at 12.5 million is definitely points to that Salah is a better pick. And since the first fixture is against Norwich, like he's also a brilliant captaincy option.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
definitely. And the fact that Liverpool had a very underwhelming season, they will be more motivated to start strong with all their injured players returning, and they will be they will be looking forward to starting off with full intensity. And I am hoping Salah will be getting in the score sheet in the first match.
yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. What about the next one? Also a popular
So
pick.
next one is a popular pick, but the way he ended the season, I have my doubts, but I will still keep him because of the Manchester United fixtures. Yeah. And the fact that he's on penalties and he has been under so much criticism about scoring penalties, but I think that's a very harsh criticism because it's not an easy job scoring penalties. And I think having a consistent penalty taker is a plus point. Plus, he's a very good free kick taker too. He's very good from dead balls, and yeah, he's still one of the most prominent attacking options for United. He's still their most valuable player for me, their most important attacking player. And even if he drops deep, he will get assists, I will feel. And he didn't have a best of Euro campaigns. He's been under a lot of criticism, and I think he will be motivated to start strong next season. Will be trying to get into the score sheet or helping the team in providing assists. And provided that now so many attacker like Sancho, with the introduction of Sancho, I think Ole will go for a Rashford, Greenwood, and Sancho forward. I hope he does. I think, or Cavani may start um, depending upon fitness and how the preseason goes. Okay, so yeah, so many attacking options we have from United, and I hope and I feel, actually I feel that Bruno will thrive with new winger coming. Okay, and his responsibility will be now shared by the new signings. Yeah, and I feel United, if they want to challenge for the Premier League title, they should be playing as a unit. Everyone should be taking equal responsibilities. And if the response and the fact that Bruno is get accumulates the most number of minutes for the Manchester United, I think it, even with his bad patch of form, he cannot be ignored.
Yeah,
Hmm.
definitely true. Definitely true. I mean,
Hmm.
there have been talks about
Hmm.
how Sancho gets more penalties. I think this stat was actually proved wrong on Twitter. But even so, then, I mean, with United's history of
Hmm.
getting so many penalties and Bruno Fernandes having an absolute, like 99% record or something like that, like, just the sheer numbers in penalties. I mean, like, if Chelsea would have gotten a lot of penalties, we would have been looking at Jorginho too. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in terms of that, yeah, Fernandez is also like Salah, kind of like a no-brainer, and it will be very difficult to leave him out.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the next two. Let's talk about Burns and Rafinha.
Yeah, Barnes was having a terrific season, to be precise. He was one of the main contentions to start for England in the Euros. He was having a very good season for Leicester City, but unfortunately that serious injury came, and he was like he missed almost the uh, even like 40% of the second half of the season. Yeah, so that was a bit unfortunate for him. And with, with I think he's coming back soon. Like he will be starting, I think, from the first match for
Yeah,
Leicester.
probably,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah. He's one of the big, and Leicester missed him. Actually, Leicester missed a
Yes.
lot his presence from and Jose Perez hasn't been a very good replacement for him. And they missed his raw pace, his finishing, his decision making, his passing. Leicester missed it, and I think that became one of the his injury became one of the reason why Leicester missed Champions League spot. Yeah, and I think he will be coming back from injury. He missed the Euros. He will be fit for the preseason. He will be motivated to start strong. And with rumors suggesting that Madison may leave Leicester City and Vardy getting a bit older, I would say, because he didn't have the best of 2020 or 2021 season. according to his standards. Yeah, it wasn't a bad season, but not the best of his seasons. Yeah, and so I think the most prominent picks from Leicester will be Barnes and Iheanacho, seeing their price. Yeah, and I will for now keep Barnes in my team, and with further updates, if he doesn't return for the first match, then I will consider my options.
Okay, what about Rafinha?
Yeah, Rafinha, I think he had a very good first season. Yeah, he was his first season with Leeds too. He was signed from, I think, Rennes, right? And he had a very good season. He, as a Brazilian, he's dribbling, he's passing, his free kick taking ability. He's also, I think, he takes the set pieces too at times. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. And with his price, like the season he had, again, he's like one of the Stones and Shaw category. Like the season he had in comparison to the price that FPL has set, he cannot at all be ignored by any manager. I think he will be the most picked up midfielder in FPL. He will be one of the most owned. He will one of the most owned players in FPL definitely this season. And provided
Yeah,
that,
I mean,
yeah,
yes.
like the system that Bielsa plays, and he thrives so well in the system, he will be getting a few amount of goal contributions.
Yes, exactly. I mean, the fact his price is such an important factor here. The thing is, like, with Fernandez getting a high price this season, fitting both Salah and Fernandez like takes up so much of our budget that we need that like low price midfielder to fit into our team so that we can have a decent team. And Rafinha exactly fits into that sort of category. The like he had a decent FPL campaign in terms of points last season. He was racking up those points, and especially in the middle of the season, like he was a really popular pick when there were double game weeks and all those stuff. So as a budget midfield enabler, I think Rafinha is a great option. And
Hmm.
Burns, I will say that he's a he's a pick that has really gone under the radar. Like I think I'm not seeing a lot of Burns in most of the FPL drafts because maybe people are worrying if he can keep up the same form. But Leicester has improved as a team over the years under the management of Brendan Rodgers, and of course they will have new signings this season. They already signed a new and upcoming striker, and I think Iheanacho and Vardy both will start. And if Madison remains fit, I think Barnes will automatically perform well as a player. So
Yeah, yeah.
Barnes and Rafinha both, in terms of that cheap midfield players to fill our team, are a great pick. Okay, let's move on to the
Mm.
two forwards now. Calvert Lewin and Tony. Okay,
Yeah.
what are the
So
reasons?
Calvert-Lewin, we can see from Everton's fixture, they have a very promising first 5 or 6 matches. Yeah. So I think Calvert-Lewin will be one of the most picked because solely because of a performance last season and the fixtures Everton has now. Benitez is coming to Everton, right? Rafael Benitez,
Yes.
yeah. And I have my fair share of doubts with him, given his Newcastle stint. Yeah, and I'm not sure whether Calvert-Lewin will be able to keep his form, but solely because of the fixtures, I'm sticking with Calvert-Lewin. Although I feel that people will pick better options like Iheanacho or Watkins. Yeah, that's a debatable decision, and I'm still not yet fair. I'm still a bit confused about my forward line, but for now, as the first draft, I will keep Calvert-Lewin for the time being.
Okay, what about Tony?
Ivan Tony, like at 6.5, he's a very good option. First of all, given how the season he had in the championship, he scored like he was the top scorer in championship last year, right? Yeah, and yeah, I haven't, to be precise, I haven't watched a lot of championship matches, but the way Brentford plays is very impressive. And given Arsenal has been a bit topsy-turvy in their form and their defense is not the strongest, and I will for now keep Tony in my starting 11, which can change in the future. For but solely because the Brentford system has impressed me and Tony racking up so many goals in the championship, I will keep him.
Yeah, I think
Mhm.
people are expecting from Tony what Bamford did last season.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
Bamford's price was even lower. It was at
Lower.
5.5.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, it was at 5.5. And of course, like Bielsa's system helped Bamford a lot. But as I said, like with so many like proven players getting their prices shot up, we need that cheap option in our striking pair, in our midfield pair. So, like Rafinha, I think Tony is also going to be quite a popular pick.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, some people may have their doubts and may tend to avoid him, which won't be a bad option because, like, we would like to see him because obviously, Championship and the Premier League are totally different,
A
the
lot
intensity and
different. Yeah,
everything.
yeah, yeah.
So, if he can keep up that form, some people may like they might want to first see him for a couple of matches before actually bringing on to their team, and even that would be a great strategy. And I think what you said about DCL is spot on. Like they have a, in terms of fixture difficulty rating, they are on the higher side. I mean, they have a really easier fixtures for the first 6 game weeks, and yes, like obviously, Rafael Benitez's stint at Newcastle was not that great, but the squad of Everton is good. Carlo Ancelotti left it in with good players, and it will be interesting to see how he uses Rodriguez too. And DCL as a player has improved a lot, and he will be their main focal point of attack.
Yes.
And he may he may replicate the good form that he left us with in the last season.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he's also, yeah, his price is only like 1 million more than last season. I think he started at 7 million.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
not that much different. And someone, we can really consider because if we are fitting both Salah and Bruno in our team, we can go for that premium option in strike like a Kane.
Yeah.
So DCL can be a handy option
Yeah, yeah.
in place of.
And the fact that I'm also not counting on Spurs player because Spurs is having a, I think Nuno finally got appointed.
Yes.
So, and Kane is on the verge of moving to City and everything. All these rumors are going on. What I don't know what will happen, but if Kane signs for City, then he might be becoming one under the scanner, because we all know how City plays and how attacking they are, and he might be one of those options. Again, you have to consider a lot upon. And I'm not picking up Son right now, even though his price is relatively lower than Fernandes and Salah. Given his last season's performance, his price hasn't been a much of an increase. Yeah, but I want to watch how Spurs play under Nuno. And yeah, we always have the chips, the first wild card and everything, and we can always bring Sun later on. Yeah, so I think starting with uh, teams and players who have same managers and the experience FPL wise, I think that will be a wiser decision. And picking up a few promoted players and new signings, and not like depending upon only new signings and uh, newly promoted players. And then there should be a balance for me.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. That chemistry that is already present between the manager and the players is very important in the start of the season.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sometimes new managers take their fair share of time to just grow with the team.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that is something to keep in mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, since our time is limited, so let's quickly go for my team. Okay, can you please show it
Yeah.
on screen?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, as we can see that Sanchez, the goalkeeper spot is pretty similar. I mean, as I said, Sanchez, I think, like he may not replicate what Martinez did, but he will be the highly owned goalkeeper going into match day one. We don't look
Definitely.
for those high-priced goalkeepers in the beginning. There have been
Yes.
talks about Dean Henderson as a potential goalkeeper choice, and we don't know if he will start before De Gea. He may. Ole seems to favor him, but taking Dean Henderson removes that like triple up of Fernandes, Shaw, and Sancho that many people are eyeing up. So that is something also we need to consider.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And okay, so the defense is pretty similar. I mean, I have put Diaz in mainly because he's nailed on, but I will probably downgrade to Stone to get that 0.5 million because that is uh, important if I want to upgrade my midfield.
Yes.
And Bednarek was also just a placeholder. I will probably switch to Eiling in my final draft because I have been seeing. I mean, I did not follow Eiling exactly so much last season, but I've been seeing lots of stats over Twitter saying he did not really do justice to his underlying stats in the last season. But with Dallas moving to midfield, with the new signings of Leeds, Eiling may actually provide some returns and not just clean sheets in terms of attacking returns. So probably Eiling in place of Bednarik and Lamte is the last
I think I
one.
have Ailing in my bench. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
he
You
at
had Eiling on your
4.5 is a very good price for him. I think
yes,
very,
yes,
very, very,
definitely.
yeah.
I mean, with the Dallas shifting to the midfield now,
Midfield, yeah, yeah.
like people were targeting Dallas only from last season
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
Leeds defense. No one really went for Eiling, and I think this will change that year since I don't think
Junior
Dallas
Firpo
as a
has signed.
midfielder.
Yeah, Dallas is a
Uh,
midfielder. Alioski has
Junior
left,
Firpo
and
too.
Junior Firpo is signed as the new left back. So yeah, definitely.
I mean, I think like Leeds did not start off strong last season. Like, they were conceding too many goals,
Yeah,
so I had my fair share of doubt on them. But that was Bielsa's first season, and this is second season. He will have a full preseason to prepare, and I think we can expect great things from Leeds this season.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Definitely,
the other one
definitely.
is Lamptey. And I had Lamptey in my team, in my first team the last year too. And he gave the returns. I was happy with him. I saw, especially in his match against United, I saw him going far placing himself in a far more attacking position. And he also got those returns. And of course, Brighton defensively have improved. So with attacking returns as well as clean sheets, he's a really good option for me.
Mhm.
Along with, and I can rotate him well with Eiling too because their fixtures are lined up well in terms of that.
But it's a
So
risk,
quickly moving on.
keeping a goalkeeper
Yeah,
and a defender from the same team. It's a bit of a gamble.
yeah, true. Actually,
Hmm.
true. But the thing is, this is one mistake, or not exactly mistake, I will say. What happened last year was that I had Matt Target and Martinez. So during the initial match of the season, when obviously Villa conceded, I lost both of their clean sheets. So I left Target out of my team. I sold him. And after that, Matt Target continued to rack up points. So
Yeah.
I don't want to do that this season. I want to
Yeah, yeah,
place my trust on the individual talent and the underlying stats of a player.
yeah,
And
yeah.
let's take that risk and see what
And
happens.
I think you have a very decent bench. If you feel like not starting both at the same time, you can actually substitute one of them for your defender.
Yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
this bench will actually
Hmm.
change a lot
Yeah, yeah,
because,
yeah, yeah.
okay, let's quickly go over the midfield. We have talked about Rafinha. Ward Prowse is just a placeholder, so I won't talk about him a lot. What I will talk about is Mason Mount because that's a player that I want to bring in my team.
Yeah, 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 definitely.
So, I mean, there were a lot of talks last season about how Mason Mount will be a set and forget player. And of course, we have seen what Tuchel has done. That was just his half season. With a
Yeah,
full preseason and more transfers incoming,
yeah.
and Mason Mount, their creative output, I think, and also he's on the set pieces too, something that we cannot, forget.
Definitely.
So
Yeah, yeah.
Mason Mount for me personally is a must-have because I also want a Chelsea asset. Yes, the fixtures are not that great in the beginning of the season, but
Hmm.
I still think that Chelsea as a team will improve more
Definitely.
this
Yeah,
season.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and in terms of attacking outlet, we have already talked of Tony. So Watkins and Jimenez.
Yeah,
Jimenez,
yeah.
I will probably change, but Wolves have a really good fixture from I think game week 4 or something like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
obviously, as we know, Jimenez suffered that injury, so I think he will be rearing to go this season. That's the and yeah, Wolves have had a manager change, but like in terms of quality, Jimenez is a good striker. That's the sole reason he's in my team. And the only reason Watkins is in my team is because, yes, there is this talk about whether Grealish will stay or not. Even if Grealish doesn't stay, I think the new player that they bought and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay, of course, like Ross Bartley is not there too. So they may suffer, Villa may suffer, that creative outlet like Watkins. If if Grealish hits, he may not get that many chances that he was getting. If Grealish leaves, I may reconsider putting Watkins in my team. But if Grealish stays, I think Watkins will have a cemented place in my team.
I mean, what Aston Villa hasn't done that bad in the absence of Grealish, you know. Like people were expecting Aston Villa will fall down the pecking order once Grealish got injured, but they were very much in the contention of finishing mid-table, and they grinded 1-0s and 2-1s and like this kind of wins. Yeah, and especially players like El Ghazi and all, they had stepped up for the occasion. Yeah, they have stepped up their game in their absence of Grealish. So I think even if Grealish leaves Villa, I think Dean Smith's system is so prominent and so pragmatic. I don't think Aston Villa will fall that hard. Of course, losing a star man will create some sort of ripple effect, but I don't think they. I think they can pick themselves up very soon.
Yes, yes, definitely.
Yeah,
Okay, so I think that's a good one for the first episode,
yeah.
and let's
I
keep it here.
think Bednarik, you kept Bednarik, and all I
No,
can think
yeah,
was the
Bednarik
own
is just
goals.
actually placeholder.
Yeah,
Placeholder.
yeah,
I am
yeah, yeah,
definitely changing
yeah,
Bednarik.
yeah,
I mean, I was looking at those 4.5 million options, and Bednarik just popped out into my head.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But I will definitely change it. I would have kept. I mean, I like Southampton's defense, but I mean, yeah, they had those 9-0 things in the past, but I don't really, hate Southampton's defense. I quite fancy them. I would have taken Kyle Walker Peters, but of course he's 5 million. So I had my doubts about Eiling, but I think like I thought about it, and like the second season with Bielsa gives me that confidence to put Eiling into my team.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
Bednarik will definitely change into that.
And I think Ward-Prowse isn't a very bad shout and could act as a differential. He is good in set
Yeah,
pieces.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And providing
definitely.
that
But
the amount of injuries Ings has been facing, Ward-Prowse is their second choice penalty taker, you know. And so he isn't a very bad shout because I had Ward-Prowse for a fair bit of time in my last year when he was scoring free kicks for fun and I accumulate some of his free kick points. Yeah.
I think that that's exactly one of the reasons why WordPress is in my team. Of course, like his price is also kind of on a low, but I need to upgrade to Mount,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
for
yeah.
that I have to sacrifice either of
I
Rafinha or
mean,
WordPress.
yeah, yeah, you complete your statement. Yeah.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
have to sacrifice either of Rafinha or Mount. I sorry, Rafinha or WordPress, and
Yeah, yeah.
since WordPress price is higher, it is easier to reach Mount by
Yeah,
selling
yeah.
him than by Rafinha. Yeah.
And I think Mount, I actually considered keeping Mount in my first team, but I don't think I will because I don't know which players. I have to see what transfers Chelsea make first of all. And I think
Mhm.
ZH didn't have his best of season. I think his future is in contention. And Havertz, I think one of those players who can thrive well next season after being shaky in the first and then settling himself, scoring the Champions League final goal. Obviously, I think he can do well in Tuchel's system. Timo Werner, he hadn't had the best of season, but he still managed to. I think he has a great impact as a team. In a team, he had a great impact with his runs, with his pace, and he scored. He still scored a few amount of goals. Yeah, with the chances he missed, he still managed to bag a few goals. So I think Chelsea will be looking forward to a new striker. I think a positive striker, and with Haaland and everyone linked with them, we have to see how it goes. And I'm not keeping any Chelsea asset as of now. Even if I have to keep, I will keep a defensive asset, I think, because they had been so good defensively last season and their defenders prices hasn't been a lot of hike. You know, Rudiger is still I think 5 or 5.5. Yeah, and Aspilicueta is like the most expensive defender in FPL. Yeah, so yeah, so I think if Chelsea does well, I think I will play the wild card or anything, or I will straight swap for Mason Mount with one of my players in the later fixtures.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Mm.
it's not like a necessity. Mason Mount is not like a necessity like Salah or Bruno. We can just
Exactly.
observe
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
see how Chelsea plays and then bring them in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like
Okay,
Chelsea and
so I think,
Tottenham.
yeah,
Chelsea and Tottenham is like my same perspective. Like I have to watch them first how they play, and then I will bring in their assets. Provided if Bruno and Salah goes, I think Salah will be consistent, but Bruno may be there a shadow of doubt that he may have like he may drop deep and something like that, you know. And I have to see. We have to watch obviously throughout the
yeah,
FPL.
yeah,
Yeah, that's the thing.
yeah. Okay,
So
I think that's a pretty good one for the first episode, and I
yeah,
think
yeah,
we
yeah,
can leave things here. So for the next episode, we will come back to the list of the defenders to target, preferably in the lower bracket,
yeah,
and
yeah.
we'll see you guys on the next one.
Yeah.
So thank you for watching.
Thank you, guys.